I have to really address the things that are just so unclear to the casual fan and the boxing aficionado. Because experience, when it's all said and done, is the thing that really creates separation in any scenario. But today we're going to break it down and give you the true understanding and the underlying meaning of what does it mean to become an elite level guy and face your foe. All right. So what we're going to do is really give you a boxing education, because it's totally noted that you have to understand what you're watching and understand that's what got people the first time, not understanding. So without any further ado, it's time to box. And for those of you who've never watched this channel, boy, you are late to the dance. My name is Eric A. Bradley. And this is where we break the fight world down round by round. And today we're going to get into Canelo Alvarez in his prime versus Floyd Mayweather, hence one of the greatest fighters of all time, which they will be battling for that title very soon. Now, let's get to the facts. Not to be argued, not to be opinionated. This is strictly what the bottom line is, and I'm going to give it to you. So yes, Canelo Alvarez and Floyd Mayweather, when they met up the very first time, what separated them was never about skill set. Because Canelo knew how to counterpunch. Canelo knew how to jab. Canelo knew how to go to the body. He knew how to defend. But what he didn't know is that it matters that you have boxing lineage behind you. 3 generations. And what exactly does that mean? It means that experience. When you come out of the womb and you at 3 years old are already lacing them up. It's all about muscle memory. When you're a young child, you learn how to crawl. And you have to get muscle memory to start crawling fast. And then you see your older brother who's walking. Now you got to figure out that thing. How do you get upright and start pedaling your feet forward? Once again, hence muscle memory. These are the things that are dawned and laid upon you as you start to catapult your way through life, right? So I want you to stay with me, because these points are uber important and you can continue to utilize them in every facet of your life. Floyd Mayweather had the luxury of having 3 generations, hence being able to take the information that his father, being of sound mind and a fighter in the era of the 70s, take it back, who was leading and running the show in the 70s, the guys like Sugar Ray, Hagler, Hearns, Duran. This is the education that Floyd Mayweather Sr. was able to get, take home, figure out what do you learn from this, and then turn it into a style. So you flash back. How important is that? It's the same amount of necessity as there are when you are trying to walk. And once you get to the point of walk, you want to be able to run. Well, Canelo Alvarez was jogging. Floyd Mayweather was running. Why? Muscle memory. You take it back. Floyd Mayweather's father, like I said, molded a style and a system out of his experience being in the ring with one of the greatest fighters of all time, need I say, Sugar Ray Leonard, who just happened to be coached by a coach in Angelo Dundee, who not only coached him, but a generation prior to that coached the greatest fighter of all time, arguably in across the board, okay, in Muhammad Ali. Now you sit back and you know on how important it is when fighters are being groomed by guys who are unexperienced. We put it in the same terms as we do when you're thinking about money? Would you like new money? Oh, new money is great. You can go buy a nice car. You can buy a nice home. You can have the pretty girl. Buy your new young baby nice things. Floss at the club. But with old money, you own the land that guy's building a house on. You own companies through the stock market that you've invested in a generation prior, or maybe even two. That money that guy with new money is spending, he's investing basically in the guy who has the old money's own businesses. Because the guy has stock in Apple, the guy has stock in oil, the guy has stock in Kellogg's cereal. The guy owns land in multiple states. And of course, he has houses. That's the difference between new money and old money. And that's exactly what Canelo Alvarez is facing. All right. He's facing old money. So it was an experience. The knowledge passed down from guys like Angelo Dundee. Because once you get into a fight with a person, you now adopt that element, what that was the separation between you and that fighter. Hence is why Canelo Alvarez goes out and smokes everybody pretty much that he's in the ring with, because he understood that it wasn't about when he matched up with Floyd, that Floyd just beat him based upon skill, because that was not the difference in the separation. If that was the case, you go back and make an adjustment. That's what I teach and tell my fighters and coaches and trainers all the time. You make the adjustments, but you have to have the muscle memory in the program in order to do so. I hope you're following me, because these aren't the things that you can argue. You can't argue lineage. I'm 3 generations. Coaches our fighters would always come into master boxing and say, Coach, how is it that you know so much? As a fighter, you can't obtain that much information. It's the understanding of being able to have generations of knowledge passed on to you, like Floyd Mayweather was able to do. Canelo Alvarez didn't have that luxury. You know, no one in his corner had been in the ring against a Roberto Duran. That was a luxury Floyd had. And for the sake of argument, well, how could Canelo beat him? You turn the tables. Canelo Alvarez has that corner, that lineage. He grew up at 3 years old. He had on gloves. And at the same time, he had on gloves against someone who'd been in the ring against Salvador Sanchez or the great Barrera. Like, lineage matters, man, because that's where your muscle memory is being built from and established too. So you continue to think about how important it is. And when you match Floyd Mayweather in his prime, who was an absolute monster, not to say it was all about his coaching, but when you think about it, it's all about merging the skill, the agility, the God-given talent with the coaching, the lineage, the generational wealth coined against new money. You're playing with house money. Floyd is dealing with crude oil, which of course is the most wealthiest substance on earth. Canelo Alvarez is great grade of 14 karat gold and diamonds. He's the jewelry of the earth. But Floyd, with that generational wealth, is the soil. That's the difference. That would always be the difference. And like I said, for sake of argument, my favorite fighter, which is Canelo Alvarez, is extremely benefiting from the lesson and now the PhD that he gained in the ring against Floyd. Things that he now understands and is able to apply. And for you young athletes and coaches who are coming up, understand this. You're only as good as the knowledge in which you've been rewarded to have. So you take that knowledge and you apply it and make it applicable inside of the ring. Because the thing that separates Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez is simply muscle memory. He knows what Canelo can do and he knows how to take it away. He's been in the ring with the greatest fighters in this era for 2 generations. Since 1997, Floyd has been dominating. It's 2021. I started my show in 2013 based upon me knowing that people would need to know the difference in these 2 fighters. Hence is why I turned the camera on the first time when my daughter was going to the 9th grade. I knew that it was time to teach. And that's when I turned this camera on the very first time for the fight show. And here we are today, 8 years later, in the same conversation. Hence is its ugly head. And for you fight fans, I want you to listen closely. And for you guys out there who are trainers, you might want or be a fan of someone, but you can never overlook the facts. And the fact of the matter is this: generational wealth matters. So get on your game. Pass down a wealth of knowledge to your kids or your athletes or those who you're just mentoring, regardless if they box or not. And that is the true pearls of wisdom in life. And that is my rebuttal for Prime Mayweather versus Prime Canelo Alvarez. For those of you who have never watched this show before and it's your first time, subscribe if you like to know and really hear, learn, talk, and see real boxing. That's what we do here on the Fight Show and Master Boxing. Until next time, continue blessings at God's speed. Share the post because you definitely want to hash it out with one of your friends who just won't see it any other way. Until next time, be blessed at God's speed. Subscribe, and I'll see you soon in the winner's circle. Peace.